Today I'm bringing you the best Dragon Link deck profile for the post Age of Overlord competitive Yu-Gi-Oh format. What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome back to the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh video. You know, Dragon Link is one of my favorite decks of all time, and with Age of Overlord coming out, even though the deck didn't get any new support, it is still going to be one of the top contenders of the upcoming format. In this video, I'm going to show you how I play Dragon Link for the post Age of Overlord competitive Yu-Gi-Oh format. The deck is a ton of fun, has a ton of different combo lines, so make sure to stick around and check it out. So if you're excited for the video, then make sure to smash the like button, because if this video hits 100 likes, we bring you the ultimate combo guide for how to use Dragon Link for the post Age of Overlord competitive Yu-Gi-Oh format. Also, if you guys like deck profiles, combo guides, meta discussions, and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh videos in general, you're gonna love this channel. So make sure to subscribe and help us reach our end of year goal of 2,000 subscribers. Now, with all that being said, here's the best Dragon Link deck profile for the post Age of Overlord competitive Yu-Gi-Oh format. Let's jump into it. So here we are with the deck profile. I have a 47 card main, 15 card extra, and 15 card side deck for you guys. And we're just gonna go ahead and jump on into it. Of course, the side deck you can tailor to however your meta at your locals looks like, but mine will look slightly different because my meta is a little bit more different than you'd expect it to be. Anyways, the way I'm going to be distributing this this deck profile is not going to be by specifically what are the monster spells and traps. I'm going to be starting off with what are the main one card starters for the deck. The first of which is going to be 3 copies of Starleaf Seyfert, the 1 Chaos Space, we have a triple Black Metal Dragon, and the 1-for-1. Now, any of these cards here is basically a 1 card starter outside of course, the spells, which in reality they're like 1.5 card starters since you need a monster for either one of them to actually work. The reason why we play 8 of them is so that we have at least a 60% chance, a 62% chance in our opening hand to have a one of these 8 cards in there, which is obviously really strong because these will get you pretty much all of your plays going and allow you to go basically full combo and maybe even beyond that if you have the right hand. Seyfert is fantastic, obviously a great normal summon, a great effect in the graveyard to be able to recur your level 8 dragons, really strong send off of Dragon Ravine as well if you already have access to your Rocket Engine. Chaos Space not only gets you access to all of your baby dragons or potentially your Bestial Lubellion, but it also gets you access to an extra draw, which is really strong. And then 1-for-1 not only sets up your graveyard, but it's also great because it allows you to get Black Metal Dragon out while retaining your normal summon. And Black Metal Dragon is not a hard once per turn, meaning you can abuse this card pretty frequently. So moving on though from our 1 card starters, we're going to go on to our, well, cards that are in our 2 card engine. We're going to be looking at starting with our Rocket package of 2 Tracer, 1 Caliber, 1 Recharger, 1 Absorptor Dragon, and then triple Quick Launch. This is the standard Rocket engine that we're seeing nowadays in Dragon Link. Reason being is that you don't want to play too many of them. The real reason that you're playing them is so that you have targets off of boot sector launch, you have ways to be able to special out of the deck thanks to Rocket Tracer's effect, and because you get to abuse the ability, the effect of Boral End Dragon, which is one of the craziest boss monsters in the game right now. Tracer has the best effects, that's why you play 2 of them. You want to be able to destroy another card that you control, a face-up card you control, to special summon a rocket from your deck with a different name, so either Caliber or Recharger. One is a tuner, one is a non-tuner. Caliber can special summon itself out for free as well, which is nice as long as there's a Dark Link monster. Absorptor Dragon is usually going to be your send off of Dragon Ravine, assuming you don't have access to your Rocket engine in your hand already. And Quick Launch is a fantastic way just to get free bodies on the board, not once per turn, special summon from deck and e-telly for any of these 4 cards at the top row here. Absolutely fantastic. Moving on is going to be the next set of our engine, which in this case here is going to be our Power 1 of the deck, the Power 1 of dragons of the deck. We have our White Dragon Wyvern Burster, our Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, our Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, our Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon, and our Noctivision Dragon. These 5 cards here are pretty interesting. Obviously, these 2 cards here are insane. They get abused pretty frequently in this deck. The fact that they're able to recur themselves to get cards banished to be able to trigger other effects that you have, like your Branded Regain, for example, is really strong. It's also great because if you manage to set them back from the effect of Chaos Space to the bottom of your deck, and you then use the other one's effect to be able to special summon, or search rather, I should say, when it goes to graveyard, you can use that to keep chain blocking, which is so strong. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon is now a hard once per turn, unfortunately, but the fact that Black Metal Dragon can search this out and then you can get it back, and then you can send Black Metal Dragon to the graveyard again, means you can search for Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon, which this card here has a pretty decent effect where it can send a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard to summon itself out, but it's not super relevant for it. The real reason we play it is because it is a level 6 monster that you can summon from your hand, and also because it allows you to chain block even more with your Black Metal Dragon when you have something like the Romulus going off. Then we have our Noctivision Dragon. A lot of lists are playing this at 1 copy now, and the main reason is because this may be a hard brick. It could be a hard brick if your hand is really bad, but if you have a level 4 or lower dragon on the field, then this card just can unbrick your hand and can also make so that the rest of your hand becomes even more powerful. It can really strengthen your board as well, because if there is a dark dragon monster that's special summoned, you can special summon this card here as well, so you're protecting your chain links. But also, if it is used as link material, you can draw a card, which is so good in a deck that really wants to have as many cards in hand as possible, not just for potential hand traps, but to keep extending past hand traps that your opponent might use on you. These 5 cards, in my opinion, are pretty mandatory to play. This one here, it's possible that you can cut it, but you have to cut another card from your extra deck, which some decks are doing. I prefer not to. I like the way the card works in the synergy of the deck. Moving on, though, we are going to have another package in our deck, which is going to be our Bestial package. Starting off, of course, with 3 copies of Bestial Lubellion. We have the 1 Magnemite, the 1 Druid's Worm, the 1 Baldrake, and then triple Saronir. So these are our bestial monsters here. These are very important to play. You definitely want to have 3 copies of Lubellion because it can get you to any of your bestials that you need. Magnemite is being looped over and over and over. Druid's Worm is great, especially against Unchained. If I had 2 copies with it right now, I would be playing 2 copies. I'd probably cut a Saronir. I don't think that you need to play more than 9 bestials that we have right now. If you want to play a 10th, it's not going to hurt you. It just means that your ratios are going to be a little bit harder to get access to your 1-card starters. Baldrake is the worst bestial of the bunch right now. It's so situational. It's not good against every single deck, and if you do have a way to keep it online, then it can be very powerful, but it really depends on what matchup you're playing. And Saronir is great to not only dump your Bestial Lubellion, but to dump your branded spells and traps, which you do play 2 of in the deck. So that's going to be our bestial count here. You definitely want to play these. They're not good against every single matchup right now. We are going to see a bit of trouble because Rescue Ace is going to be one of the best decks of the format post Age of Overlord, so we want to make sure that we actually have ways around that, and the bestials are not the best, but they're still really good for your engine. Next up is going to be the 1 Branded Regained and the 1 Branded Beast. These are obviously mandatory to play. Regained is great for a few reasons. Number 1, it gets you access to a bestial when your opponent normals or special summons, which is huge. But even more importantly, if a lighter dark monster is banished, you can put that back to the bottom of the deck and then draw a card, so it gets your engine going. But it also gives you possibilities to draw into hand traps on your opponent's turn, which is really strong. Then, of course, we have the Branded Beast here. Now, Branded Beast is great because if you manage to send Regained off of the effect of Saronir to the graveyard, then you have Beast up off the effect of Lubellion, then you're able to recur back the Branded Beast in the end phase, and that way you have access to both of these on your opponent's turn, which is really, really nice. Branded Beast during the main phase only. If you control Bestial, you can just tribute a dragon monster and then target a card your opponent controls and destroy it, which does have utility. It means that your entire end board is not solely reliant on the effects of your monsters, so a card like Dark Ruler No More can be worked around at least a little bit. Moving on to our field spells, we have the 1 Boot Sector Launch and of course the 1 Dragon Ravine. These cards are very important in the deck, but you do not want to open with either of them. Dragon Ravine is a little bit less of a brick because it can help you start your engine going if you open with a weird hand, but Boot Sector Launch is one of the worst cards to open in the deck because it turns Striker Dragon's effect offline, meaning that you have no way of just triggering that effect, protecting chain links, or even then, you're just wasting a card in your extra deck for no reason by going into it. If you normal summon your Black Metal Dragon, you link off into Striker Dragon, but you already have Boot Sector Launch in hand, you're basically wasting 1 extra deck monster, which could be used for whether it's link climbing or whatever. It would be nice to have. And then Dragon Ravine, of course, such a fantastic card. Most of the time, you're going to be sending either a Bestial, or you're going to be sending a Abstrider Dragon, or you're going to be sending a Starly Safer. Those are the main cards you're going to send from the deck to the graveyard with Dragon Ravine. So moving on to our hand traps, we have the 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. We have the 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. We have the 2 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being and 1 Droll and Lockbird. And then you might say this is a really weird lineup for hand traps here, but it's because we're playing 3 copies of Crossout with 1 Call by the Grave. And I'm realizing that there's a lot of glare there. So the reason we're playing this lineup here, Ash is just generally one of the best hand traps in the game right now. It's so good against so many different decks. Infirm is great against the decks that use a lot of cards on the field to activate their effects. Think of something like Rescue Ace is great against the Sorama and Unchained. It's great against something like Luanda Reese. There's a lot of different applications for it. Nibiru is like an well, it's a crossout target mostly, but it's also good in certain matchups. If you're just going for a ton of summons, especially like Vanadium, for example, then you have a way to get Nibiru online and just blow up your opponent's board. It is so powerful. Droll and Lockbird is specifically here for crossout. Droll is one of the hardest counters to this deck because you constantly add cards from deck to hand to replenish your resources and to get access to your combo pieces. So crossout for that is great. And of course, Call By helps with the Droll and Lockbird or Ash Blossom or even Valor on your opponent's turn. And that is going to be the end of our main deck. We have 9 hand traps with the 4, well, anti-hand trap cards here in Crossout. with our Call by the Grave. Now guys, just a reminder before we get into our extra deck, if you guys want to see a combo guide for this post Age of Overlord Dragonlink deck profile, then make sure to leave a like on the video. We're doing it at 100 likes. I'll bring you that combo guide. So starting off with our Link 1s, we have our Striker Dragon, of course, with our Guard Dragon Pisty. These are 2 mandatory Link 1s. Very good in the strategy. Striker Dragon searches for your boost sector launch, also can help you recur your rockets from graveyard. Pisty is a great piece to extend. Also, if it's left on the board for whatever reason, then you have a great way to be able to recur resources back. It is a prime target for something like Imperm or Valor that your opponent has, but most of the time they're going to be using that a bit earlier on other pieces, because by the time you get to Pisty, unless they're going for Nibiru, your board is going to be really strong. Moving on though to our Link 2s, we have the 1 copy of Romulus as part of the combo, 2 copies of Hieratic Steel, the Heavenly Spheres, and the 1 IP Masquerena. Now, in Age of Overlord is SP Little Knight. The second SP Little Knight comes out, and the second I get a copy, Nightmare Unicorn is gone. I'm putting in SP Little Knight, okay? So I'm putting this in the Link 2s, but this should be SP Little Knight. Keep that in mind. Romulus is a fantastic card. The fact that you're able to get access to Dragon Ravine is great, but it does have a second effect. When a dragon monster is special summoned from the extra deck to a zone this card points to, you can special summon a dragon from your hand and negate its effects, which is great because we have our level 6 Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon, which is going to be able to get us into other rank 6. Also, it's important to note that that monster cannot be used as Link material, but we're not going to use it for Link material, we're going to use it for Xyz material. Spheres is a fantastic card. It's the only card we actually play in the extra deck at 2 copies, funnily enough, because this card is not only a way to be helping us with Nibiru in case we do get Nibiru, since it does tribute, and if it is tributed, we can special summon any dragon from our deck, which is very nice, but it's also a great piece of interruption on our opponent's turn as well, especially because it tributes for cost, which is very nice. Then we have IP Masquerena, specifically because it is a dark monster, 2 great arrows, and on top of that, it can get us into our SP Little Knight, or in this case, Nightmare Unicorn, but it is SP Little Knight, as I was saying, and that is just a fantastic way to start interrupting our opponent on their turn. Really strong if your board is interrupted. Not the main line you want to go for, but if you get locked into darks early, it's a fantastic option nonetheless. Moving on though to, I should say probably that SP Little Knight is one of the best cards in the game. The fact that you have to banish a card on the field and banish itself, and then have another banish on top of that is really strong. Our Link 3 is going to be Triple Verse Dragon. This card is a mandatory play in the deck right now because you want to have access to this downward pointing arrow as a dragon type monster to get your Pisty online. Our Link 4 is going to be Boral Sword Dragon. If you have Access Code Talker, play Access Code. It's a really solid card, but Boral Sword Dragon gets the job done. And then finally, Boral End to end off our Link monsters. This card is so good. Most of the time, I'm trying to end my board with this. Going first in game 2 or 3, if your opponent knows that you're trying to get to something like this, then I really try not to have this be my only piece of interaction, because if you do, a kaiju will just end your day. Herald of the Abyss is not going to be the biggest problem, since most of the time you will have a dark dragon on your side of the field as well as Boral End Dragon, so I'm not too concerned about that. A big problem about this though is going to be Dark Ruler No More, so we do play a lot of hate for that card in the side deck. Also, in my opinion, the best part about Boral End Dragon is not the fact that it's just a huge body that can attack your opponent as many times as the monsters they have, but the best part about it is going to be that its effects negate the face-up monsters your opponent controls cannot be responded to. So it's basically like Super Poly, where your opponent, once you use it, chain is over, it's done, finished, and then you're negating your opponent's monster and you're getting back your rocket monster. That's going to be it for our links. We have 3 links that are more than Link 2 rather, and I think in total we have 10 links in this deck. Moving on to our synchros, we have 2 level 10 synchros in Bestial Dispater and Baron de Fleur. These cards are fantastic. Bestial Dispater is most of the time the level 10 synchro you're going for, considering that you can bring it back off the effect of Regained. It also gets you potential negation or destruction, and it also allows you to extend, which is really strong. And a lot of the time, you do get locked into dark monsters, and Baron is obviously a wind, which makes it kind of tough. Baron is great if you can afford to get it off. That's obviously fantastic. It'll help you against Nibiru, if in the case that you have to worry about that. But I do think that Baron is a little bit more of a pipe dream in this deck than in others. Next up is going to be our Synchro 8s, being the 1 Borreload Savage Dragon and the 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend for time. Borreload Savage Dragon is basically in all of your end boards, considering it's a level 8 Dark Dragon Synchro monster, which you can summon very easily off of something like the Rocket Tracer, and you have very powerful high link braining monsters in your graveyard, like the Triple Verse Dragon, to be able to equip to it, giving it 3 potential Omni Negates, and of course, a pretty sizable attack boost. And Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend is only for time. That is the main reason why. If we didn't have to worry about time in this deck, I would probably replace this with something else, maybe something like even Dweller for this specific metagame right now. But as a Synchro 8, the fact that it is so easily accessible off of cards like Rocket Tracer, it means you have a really easy time to get to a win condition in time. And then finally, our last card is going to be the 1 Hieratic Dragon of Atum. This card is one of the best extenders for the deck. The fact that it can get you any dragon monster from your deck is huge. the effects are not negated either, which is great. So if you don't have access to, let's say, your engine of the Black Metal Dragon, you really want to have access to that, then you can have access to it with Hieratic Dragon. If you had no access to Magnemud, get Magnemud. If you have no access to your Rocket Tracer or your Rocket Engine in general, then go ahead and get this card. It is obviously fantastic. Getting you extra pieces is really nice, and it's able to extend so well. This card here, I was debating for a long time if I want to put it in, but the fact that you have so many ways to just extend it with this card, I had to play it in my opinion, even though it is a little unfortunate because it is a prime target for something like Baylor or Ash Blossom or Imperm. So that's going to be it for our extra deck. 15 cards there, 4 Synchros, 10 Links, and then the 1 XCs. Moving on to our side deck. Remember, like I said, the side deck, you can tailor it to your specific locals. This should just be a baseline idea of what you need to be looking at in the Dragon Link deck. Starting off with 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched is obviously one of the best cards in the game right now. Going second, the fact it's able to just shut down so many different boards is awesome. And at the worst case, it baits out negation. The worst deck that I'd say it's against would be something like the Unchained deck, because they can just kind of play around it pretty easily, but against everything else is really solid. We also have 3 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance. This, I think, is one fantastic card in the deck. Reason being is if your opponent wants to go for like Dark Ruler No More and they side that in against you, then you can just flip up Anti-Spell in the draw phase, and then that way your opponent has no chance of using the Dark Ruler No More on that turn, and on the crackback, you can just get the KO, get the 1 hit, and then just win the game from there. We then have the 3rd Nibiru in the deck here, just in case it ends up being a combo deck that really has a hard time putting up a negate before 5 summons. We then have 2 Kaijus in the form of Gameciel and Radiant. I have Gameciel because it's small, I have Radiant because it's a dark. A light monster also works well, but they're all pretty big, and Radiant is just one of the smaller ones. It sucks that it's a fiend, so that Unchained can use it, but I'll be honest, I'm not too mad about it. I think these are just fantastic cards to have, and you definitely want to play at least 2 Kaijus in your side deck. And then we have 2 copies rather, of Lightning Storm. This card is really strong. Getting rid of back row or front row is obviously great, and should be played, I think, in a lot of different side decks right now because it's so good against a lot of control decks that are going to be coming in this format, and the combo decks that are spinning up monsters in attack position. Next up is going to be 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talents and the 1 copy of Triple Tactics Thrust. So this is the final 4 cards in the deck. If you can't afford to play these cards, you don't have to. Talents is fantastic in this deck because there's so many hand traps that your opponent's going to be going for on you, and if you Talents to draw 2, wow, you're in a fantastic position. Or if you don't need to draw 2, and you just Talents to see their hand and get rid of the Dark Ruler No More, or whatever problematic hand trap they have, then you can be off to the races and just win the game on your opponent's turn right away. Talents is such a broken card, especially in this deck. If you have it, play. If you don't have it, then obviously find something else. Thrust is not as good in this deck as it would be in something like Unchained, for example, because a lot of the cards that you have in your main deck that are part of your engine are not going to be normal spells or traps. So just keep that in mind. So you can't get your engine, but you can get access to your Evenly Matched, you can get access to your Lightning Storms, or any other manner of normal spells or traps that you have in your side deck. And that is it. That is our 47 card main deck, 15 card extra, and 15 card side deck for the best Dragon Link deck profile for the post Age of Overlord format. Thank God Arise card is gone. If you guys want to see a combo guide for this list, then you have to make sure to leave a like on the video. We're only going to be doing this combo guide after we hit 100 likes on the video, so make sure to smash the like button. Also, if you guys enjoy the content here, you maybe consider subscribing to the channel as well. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers, and we cannot get there without your help. That is our end of year goal. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.